Okay, so it's been a while since I've done the Life with Lynda thing. A lot has happened. I've been thinking about a lot of stuff and figured a lot of things out. Um, I really didn't want to turn on the lights in here, but it looked all kinds of grainy when I didn't. So, eh, hopefully this works well enough. Anyway, I did some exercise, so I'm a little bit looking, but I don't think that's a big deal, right? Okay. Where to start? Previously, that's so funny. I feel like there should be a little skip recap in the bottom corner. Previously, I remember losing it because of our floors. And then I think I did one where I said that I like our floors and you got to see some of Cinnamon. Um, First, Cinnamon. Cinnamon went to the vet yesterday for a checkup. He's 9 months old and flipping 11 pounds. He is huge. The vet was having a hard time believing he was only 9 months old. And so I told her his birthday and showed her what he looked like December 28th of last year. And he was so tiny. So apparently, we're doing a good job with him. And he gets to graduate up to some big boy food instead of kitten food now. And of course, I just bought a bag of kitten food. And so I asked if it was okay if I get the big boy food and just mix it all up because, dude, I don't want to waste 10 bucks. Anyway, um, where to go? Where to go? Okay, we'll give the update on the leg stuffs. So we know I had surgery on the right knee. And when I first started going to the doctor, it was for both knees because both knees were crap. But the right knee was the one that when I tried to clean the bottom of my mom's refrigerator, it felt like there was an explosion out of the side of it, which is why we were focused a little more on the right. We weren't actually focused more on the right. We were looking at everything and doing everything, but insurance would only approve an MRI of one leg. So we picked the right leg. That is the entire reason we started with the right leg. Um, Still not quite right, but it is getting better. I went to PT Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. And I can straighten it all the way down to 1 degree, so I'm almost straight. And I can bend it. I think it was 110 maybe degree. So I'm getting there. It still hurts some, but I don't even really notice the hurt. I more notice when it feels like it doesn't fit. And I know that sounds weird, but yeah. So what happens with it is it feels almost like the knee doesn't fit in the skin. And then if I try to bend it too much, it physically won't go. So like the muscles themselves have shrunk, tightened, and I'm having to work on forcing it to be, what it's supposed to be. And yes, my physical therapist is quite impressed with me because I hadn't seen him in like over a month because having issues, it costs $125 every time I go there. And I am not made out of money. I'm a flippin' teacher. And I wanted a second opinion from another doctor who I hated. And I'll come back to that in a second. And then I was going to be in Europe for over 10 days. So that's why it took a minute to get back. But he was very impressed because I had improved since the last time. And he knows that I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing and some of what I'm not supposed to be doing. Some of what I'm not supposed to be doing is, um, if you know me, you know I love my walks. That's how I deal with life. That's how I deal with anxiety. That's how I think. That's how I breathe. That is how I exist, is taking these nice big walks. Sometimes I take pictures. Most of the time I listen to a book, but it's like my time. It is my mental health. And I haven't been able to do them since, what was it, November 23, 4, 5. I think 26, November 26th, somewhere right around there. It was a Wednesday anyway. Um, so I had been asking the physical therapist about doing more walking and if I could yet, and if I could take my walks. And this was like a month and a half, 2 months ago. And he told me yes. And I told him, oh, sorry. He said yes, flat. And I said, my walks are not flat. They have lots of hills. That's part of what I like about my walks is I love the hills. And he said, no. He said, use the walking pad. No hills. Only walk flat. I can start working on doing lots of walking flat. And then I went to Edinburgh, which is nothing but hills. And then from there over into England, which is mostly hills. And so I did a lot of stairs and a lot of hills. And I was in a quite good deal of pain. The other issue with this is the stairs, I can't walk down normally, like, going forward. I can go up. Up steps, I don't really have too much trouble. Sometimes if it's a little too steep or I do too many, that's when I get the right knee doesn't feel like it fits thing. But for the most part, it's okay. Going downstairs, my leg doesn't bend that much. And so I either have to go, boom, 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 boom for every single step, which puts way more pressure on my left knee. Or I do this step turn kind of thing. Ooh, my knee just popped. Which also puts way more pressure on my left knee. So steps and inclines, while it's trying to help my right knee work like it's supposed to, I swear my biology stuff started to come back and I started to talk about hinge joints. Anyway, it's putting more pressure on my left knee, which is very quickly getting worse. Also, the uneven gait is making it where the left hip and lower back region are just in pain every minute of every day. If I sit, it hurts. If I stand, it hurts. If I walk, it hurts. So, I mean, it literally hurts always. And of all things, it is the worst when I'm standing. So I physically cannot stand in place because it just gets too much. Like, I took Chris to the House Cat Museum, and as the curator is bringing us around and telling us the history of the stuff and telling us about the guy and blah, 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 I'm starting to get nauseous and lightheaded from the pain in my lower back hip area. It has since gotten to where it feels like the ball joint that is in my hip is not right. So there is some definite damage happening. And it's frustrating because I feel like a lot of it could have been avoided. One could have been avoided if I was able to get physical therapy immediately after surgery. Blame the US health system for that. And it annoys me because it could be better if doctors would listen when I'm saying this is bothering me. And it keeps popping. Don't mean to shake the thing. I'm like leaning on the table. I like the doctor. I do. I love the ladies at the front. They're honestly the whole reason I used this doctor. He is a general orthopedic guy, and that goes against everything I always said. I always really thought you should go to a specialist because if I'm having a lung issue, I don't just go to a general practitioner. I go to the lung doctor. Same thing for joints. And again, only reason is because the ladies at the front were great. And I mean, how often do you get somebody at reception who's nice and helpful? Totally the reason I picked him. Then I met the doctor and I thought he was really nice and I felt like he listened until he didn't. They got a new system for doing their records, and I'm planning on writing a nice big thing up. I have an appointment with him on the 2nd, and I'm gonna lay it all out. Um, since the surgery, it seems like the nurses and the doctor only care about, so how much better is it? Would you say it's 90% better than before surgery? And each time I tell them no, because I can't walk like a normal human being. It's not any better. It's worse because at least before I was taking walks. Now I can't do that. And I have gone back and forth and back and forth. The doctor seems to constantly forget I can't have the shot because my body does not accept it. I have had that stupid shot in 3 different body parts, and it goes very poorly every single time. I think it's time for us to go, you know what? Lynda can't take that shot. But I mean, I'm allergic to prednisone. So it's not really a big surprise that the shot they give you for inflammation being related to prednisone might not be a good mix. Okay. Then on top of that, because I did have true bursitis, I found out from my physical therapist that a lot of people will say they have bursitis, but I really had bursitis. And oh, good God, it is painful. And that's linked to my inflammatory issues, which I always tell doctors about. And for some reason, they just, and I don't understand why so many doctors don't listen to what the patient says is an issue. I don't go in there pretending I am a doctor, but I do know this doctor had this issue with me. This doctor had this issue with me. And so this doctor, for the surgery, I told him about when I had the foot surgery and had to have that bone fusion thing. That doctor, oh my God, he was wonderful. I wish he did more than feet. I would have gone to him. But anyway, that doctor was baffled because he couldn't explain what was happening with my inflammation. Because with the foot, it flared up, it swelled up to such a degree. I was getting sores from my foot rubbing against the boot, which was really large. And that doctor did everything he could to try to figure this out, because I didn't have an official inflammatory named diagnosis. It was just, yeah, there's an issue, and she randomly looks like a lobster for no reason. And it hurts when she does X and things like that. So, I mean, I knew I had an inflammation issue. I talked to him about it. He did, the foot doctor, he didn't realize how bad it could get. Meanwhile, it was after that surgery when that was going nuts, tried to get an implant for an issue I had here. And my body did another crazy inflammatory thing, and the implant didn't work. And let me tell you, when Novocaine and those meds don't tend to work, most pain meds don't tend to work, and you have already gone through the pain of having that stupid little metal screw implanted in your jaw, and then your body goes, eh, because my body did, again, another weird inflammatory thing where it decided to attach in a completely different way, which was not the proper way on the implant. I then had to have the thing removed. Good God. I cannot explain the pain of having this metal screw ripped out of your jaw when you burn off all of the meds, like within 10 minutes of them giving it to you. I remember Chris was in the waiting room and I was texting him every time I got another shot. I'm like, yep, here's another shot. Yep, here's another shot. The dentist asked if I had any diagnoses for inflammatory stuff, and I told her again. Um, so I've got this history. So I tell this knee guy or the bone guy that I have this history. Didn't seem to take that into account. And then, as anyone who knows me through this amount of time, my knee got stuck at a 27-degree angle, as in I could not straighten it more than it with a 27-degree angle, which caused me to walk like this. For anyone who watched or watches 1,000 Pound Sisters, I made a comment to my class one day that I was walking like Tammy, and that is really how I walked. Um, so This current doctor has been just looking at my right knee, seems to have forgotten my left, and doesn't pay attention or hasn't paid attention. He will this time about me telling him the pain I'm having in other areas. Because I think every time I say pain, he thinks I'm talking about my knee. And he even made a comment about going to pain management. I'm like, that's not the issue. I need to fix what's going wrong. I don't I don't think there's even a way to do it because most of the stupid meds don't even work on me. And that's crazy. Now, I decided everybody else, I would have given the advice to go get a second opinion. So I finally did. I went to a specialist. I went to a guy who does only knees. Hated him. I mean, maybe he's nice. I don't know. But he just dismissed everything. I felt near tears, quite frankly, by the end, because he looks at the stuff, asked me a couple of questions. I don't think he even listened when I was answering. When I try to say something about my knees, seriously, his response was, well, you're 55. It's not uncommon. And I asked him, how does that equate to the fact that I was told when I was 30 that I had these same issues? He never answered. I was in the process of asking him about the popping I feel behind my knee, like if this is the knee back here. So not behind the kneecap, but the very back of my knee. I wanted to ask him about that. I am literally speaking, and then he talks over me, hands me prescriptions, tells me to make a follow-up appointment. Prescriptions for muscle relaxer, which he said, make sure to take it at night. They will make you sleep. And a cream. The cream costs over $1,000 and insurance won't cover it. Not getting the cream. And the muscle relaxers are basically Flexeril and they don't do anything, nothing. And the prescription bottle says take one or two at bedtime. So I was being conservative and doing one, nothing. When we flew to Scotland, I took one on the plane just in case, nothing. While I was in England, I'm like, all right, let's find out. I took two, nothing. So Flexeril goes down on the list of things that don't work for me. I'm not even really sure why he gave them to me. I think he's just here, take some meds. So they're just sitting on the counter now. Um, Clearly I'm not going back to him. And I am going to tell the current doctor, the previous and current doctor, that I did go for this and my takeaway and how frustrated I am, and tell him this is why I'm back to you is we at least started better than this and you used to listen to me and I would like to go back to that relationship and we'll see what happens. Something has to change because again, I cannot convey the amount of pain I am in every constant moment. Um, what's funny is if I sit exactly like this, I don't feel it, which is really cool. But if I go that far, I feel it. If I lean like this, I start to feel it even more. But if I sit up like you're supposed to, that's when it gets worse. Seriously, it's driving me crazy. Anyway, I think that is main doctor stuff. My mom. My mom is not healthy. She is, I would say, at the point where the bill is coming due. Throughout our entire life, what we do gets stored. Our choices, our physical activity choices, our hydration choices, our dietary choices, recreational choices, everything is stored in our body. Um, I really wish I could get people for my Una nutrition stuff because this is what I want to do. I want to help people better understand this. And I've tried with my mom, I really have. And sometimes she'll listen and she will actually do better. And then I don't know what happens. I think honestly, the biggest part is the number of people who will say diet instead and think that it means temporary instead of realizing it's not a temporary diet. You have to actually adjust everything. And of course, traveling mucked mine up. And so I'm doing a hard reboot. And I cannot thank Huel enough for that one. No, I don't do detoxes. That's a load of crap, just so you know. Anyway, side note. Um, so my mom has made a lot of unhealthy choices throughout her entire life, continued to make unhealthy choices. The amount of saturated fat is insane, and she ignored when they talked about her cholesterol level. She's had so many surgeries to clear up what I always refer to as the traffic jam in her veins and arteries. And she has been told for years she has to take a certain number of blood thinners because of this. And she has consistently explained to the doctors that she can't. And they need to understand. And I've been talking to her saying, you need to understand. They know what they're talking about. So for years now, right before one of my big events, whether it's travel or Dragon Con, my mom has ended up in the hospital. True to form, the day we are flying to Scotland, um, she is feeling bad and she goes to the emergency room and they check her into the hospital. She now fluctuates her weight between 92 and 96 pounds. Her blood pressure kept being up in the 200s. She has a blood clot in her heart and she has to take specific medications. And it's disturbing to watch her just get more and more frail. And Isabel and I go over there pretty much once a week. I pay Isabel to clean the apartment so then I can sit there and visit with my mom. And because I just don't have the energy to clean her apartment anymore. Um, I tried to hire professionals, but they were not great about responding. And then I realized Isabel could use a job. So there you go, problem solved. Anyway, I think she's getting scared and realizes maybe I should have, paid more attention because now she's asking me more. And when we talk about inflammation, then she listens when I talk about added sugars and that it doesn't mean refined sugars. Added sugar is added sugar. It increases inflammation, whether it is cane sugar, corn syrup, honey, coconut sugar, doesn't matter. Any added sugar adds to inflammation. And she's finally listening. She's also finally listening about the saturated fats. The one issue we're having is the doctors have stressed the sodium aspect, and she's back to deciding that she needs to have none. That's not healthy either. We've already gone through that before. Um, so we're doing a lot of education stuff. She just She constantly contacts me and tells me how much her stomach hurts and wants to know what should she eat so her stomach will stop hurting. And I have to ask her, is her stomach upset because she had something that it didn't like, or does her stomach hurt because she hasn't eaten? And I really think it's that more than anything else. And so Isabel and I are going to, throughout this weekend, we're going to cook a few things to put in little containers and put some in her refrigerator, some in her freezer. So it's just heat it up and eat. And we're going to try to make it as nutritious as possible. Okay. Now, for the last of it, what I have learned about myself. Um, yeah. So autistic and ADHD, and I've seen a lot of things lately where they say AUDHD, where they're putting the two together. And it talks about how it's a constant battle because you need this for this for that. And yeah, I thought I was pretty good. I thought I tolerated a lot of things. I knew there were some things that would just be a little much, and that was it. Wow. So it turns out I have a lot of flipping issues, and it's overwhelming to realize how many issues I have. And it's making me have to really reevaluate a lot. Now, the good news, the kudos, the pat myself on the back part. Um, I've done a great job over the years of making my home a safe space. I have done a really, really, really good job at organizing things in my life so I have everything I need so I can relax as much as I am able because I suck at that. I'm not really good at that relaxing or sleeping thing. I'm still working on it. So, what I have discovered when Chris moved in, that caused an upheaval because we didn't have a whole lot of time. It was one of those things we were talking about at some point, and I thought we would have time to plan. And then his house sold and closed so fast. We had no time. And we had to hurry up and clear out the bedroom because he was coming here with two cats, and Osiris was already still mad at me for cinnamon. And I was not going to just toss them all together. And so Chris was moving into the downstairs bedroom, which eventually one of these days will end up being our bedroom, but it's not currently because I'm still in my room. Um, we had to get it all cleared out. That room was full of so much stuff. So we went through it as fast as we could. We got a storage unit. My plan was spring break in March, we would go through everything, have no more storage unit. We still have a storage unit, and it's almost June. Went through everything we could, moved things around. The whole living room got cluttered. My sunroom over there, still full of boxes, and that was my safe space. That's where I would do my work at the table. I'd have my pretty yard behind me. And when I just really wanted to check out, I would sit on this one lounge chair with a fan, an oscillating fan, and a table next to me. And I would drink coffee and read books and have the fan blowing and then stare out at all the greenery. I can't even really much use my sunroom because, again, there's still boxes everywhere. Let's see. See that? That's my sunroom. Still full of stuff. But we've gotten this room done mostly. So then we had the floors. That was a whole other thing. And it was horrible. My dining room, which I have repeatedly worked really hard to get clean because when Eliza was here, she turned my dining room basically into a storage unit and junk room. And it bothered me so much. And I was so proud of myself when I got the whole thing cleared up. I took all these pictures at Thanksgiving to show how beautiful my room was. And then it got full of crap. It still has a bunch of stuff in there now. And we're working on it. My kitchen, my kitchen's mostly good. And here is mostly good now. And my bedroom comes and goes. For the most part, it's good, but there's some clutter from, the trip. I haven't finished putting everything away yet. But what I found, the more disorder, the more I couldn't even focus. I am not even in my same seat. I had my spot. But then Chris's TV was much larger and fancier than ours because we had an old plasma and he's got that fancy schmancy OLED thing and it's huge and that's fine. But apparently I can't handle OLED. The lights are too bright. It's too vivid. It's too this, it's too that. And so once I was able to be in the living room again, I tried to watch TV, would burst into tears, and would just go hide in my room. And then we decided, okay, I'll sit here instead of there because here the TV can be farther away and I can still look over there and see outside because apparently that's an important thing for me is wherever my spot is, I have to be able to do that and just look outside. I was not aware, but apparently that's a thing. I have done so much research in OLED. So if anyone wants to know, one of the big issues is if you are trying to make it dimmer so it's not so bright, the way the OLED screen dims is to do a rapid firing on and off of pixels. So if fluorescent light bothers you, that's going to make things worse. So every time we tried to make it less bright, it was making me almost throw up and feel like my eyeball was going to explode out of my head. For some reason, this eye more than that, I don't understand. I did a lot of research. I then played with all the settings on the TV because Chris finally found the remote for the TV so I could do this and found out that I could actually control how much OLED was used. So instead of it being at 100%, I now have it at 20. And that's me trying to be nice because I actually brought it to 0 at first, but I'm pretty sure the other people in the house would like it to be a little crisper or whatever it is for other people other than painful. So I have managed to get it to like around 20. I think I tried 30 recently, but I think I brought it back down to 20. I have adjusted every setting physically possible on that TV. And also, I had researched that if you have a little backlighting, that helps. So when it's dark, it's not so in your face dark. And Chris is trying to help because he's feeling bad because he felt he ruined the house because I had been safe and then I wasn't. And I was literally living in my room. I would come out of my room to use the bathroom to get something in the kitchen. I would attempt the living room, give up, and go back into my room. Osiris thought he was in heaven because literally, if I was in town, because remember, I work in a different town. When I was in town, I was living in my room because I couldn't handle any other area of the house. It all made me just want to scream and cry. And I found myself having feelings like I used to way back when, where I'm like this and I just want to rip my hair out. Um, I didn't, yay, but I had those urges. Um, it was hard. And we have it set. So clearly I'm in my living room now. I can handle things now. We've got all the adjustments. Oh, the backlighting. Chris got some backlighting that he attached behind the TV, has it hooked into the TV. So as soon as you turn the TV on, the lights turn on around it. So anytime I turn on the TV, I already have the backlight there. He also attached things so the lights here, I can control and make them dimmer or lighter. I have them as bright as they can go because I'm doing this right now. But I didn't realize how much of my world I controlled in order to be able to deal with the world. And that was eye-opening. And I'm still trying to get back to me. I really am. I was spinning out, cranky, all kinds of stuff. And I had so many things firing off in my brain. And poor little Chris is going to have so many conversations because I've been writing them up. I just, I didn't know. I did not know I had that many issues. I felt like I was like 6 years old and having meltdowns and temper tantrums constantly. I have discovered that as I have aged, I have systematically set stuff up to help me deal with stuff. And I have my very specific routines. I have I'm going to do this, this, this. It's going to be just like this. And it really does help me cope with the rest of the world. But when it was all gone, I can't tell you how broken I felt. And Pax doesn't like me saying broken, but I don't have a better word. Um, it truly made me feel broken. I cannot convey how bad it was. And little by little, I'm getting me back. And I am beginning to feel more like myself. And I am putting all my little things in place and planning for stuff for the future, but recognizing better that this is what I'm doing. And as I'm figuring things out, I'm trying to share it with family. So they know it's not just a preference, but it appears to be something that helps keep my brain from exploding. Because I do a lot, and I do a lot for other people. I am hardwired, designed, trained, pick your adjective, for making sure everything's better for everybody around me, because that's what I feel I have to do. And I couldn't when I couldn't. You know what I mean? So, like, when my brain could not process anymore, I could not handle anything, I just felt like the meanest person ever. And I felt 100% broken. I still feel a little broken, but more like cracked and dented now, because I'm figuring out what I need. And while that's good, it's also sad, because it's hard when you have to face the fact that you have way more needs than you realized, and that maybe your unseen disabilities are really, truly, honestly disabilities, and you have to account for it. And that means I can't just dismiss it. I can't just say, well, it's just me. Because apparently, when it's all stripped away, I can't do anything. And if I can't do anything, I feel like I'm not worth anything. Um, oh, what's the name of that song? I started to say pressure, like under pressure, but that's not it. I think it's Surface. I have it. It's from the Encanto movie or soundtrack. Surface Pressure. Listen to Surface Pressure. That's it. Me 100%. Um, so so yeah, I would say mostly positive. It's been hard, but I'm getting better, and I've learned a lot about myself. And hopefully that'll help me have less troubles. And of course, true to form, and I have a hair in my eye. True to form, I'm thinking of making a list. I'm thinking of writing up like how, like, if you're going to be out of town and you want someone to take care of your cat or your dog or your kid, how bad is it that I put kid last? Anyway, you give very specific details. So, like, for Osiris, I would be like, make sure that you have made the bed and his llama blanket is there, because he likes to go under the llama blanket. Also, make sure you know where Llama, Taco, Stormtrooper, and Flat Rat are, because those are his main babies. Currently, we can't find Flat Rat. I need to find him. Um, I would say to take care of his litter box every day, to blah, blah, blah. But those specific details about the toys and the llama blanket, because those are huge for him, that are only him. Like, he gets really upset if he can't go under his llama blanket. No other blanket works, only the llama blanket. I'm thinking of making a list like that for myself, because as I figure out this is what I need, if I write it down, it might help me remember, and I can let other people know. So then if I'm losing it, they have something that they can go, oh, maybe it's this, and they can help me get back on track. Because when I start to spin out, I don't know how to get myself back other than to hide, to just completely disengage from every single human around me. I don't disengage from the kitties, they're always welcome, but I will disengage from every single human, because if I can't control me, I cannot be the person the other people expect of me, which, that statement alone is kind of sad, but I don't know how else to be. So I am still me around the other people, but I'm not 100% me, because 100% me is a little too much. Um, so I have the edited versions of me for each person. And I'm hoping, if as I figure things out and I write it down, then those around me can understand that these are the requirements. And if I am not the me that they know, they can know where to start. Uh, That's like the best I can come up with. I don't know how else to explain it, but that's what I'm thinking of doing. And it would be really cool if I could stop saying the word I want to replace it with something else at some point. But anyway, I think I'm done. This was really long, but I didn't cry. So definitely feeling better. And yeah, after the doctor's visit, when I get more feedback about stuff, I will probably do another one of these and update everybody. And so, oh, I made the comment about Chris moving in. He's in his own bedroom. I'm in my own bedroom. That's one of the conversations he and I are going to have. He knows part of it, but I haven't worded it completely as because I'm afraid. I need my space, and I need it to be okay to need my space and to not feel like I'm being rude to have my space. And having separate bedrooms when it's bedtime, or more accurately, when Osiris comes down and just stares at me, it's like, meh, letting me know it's time to go upstairs and spend time with Osiris. Um, Without that, I don't know how to get it. And 100% Chris will say, you take the time anytime you need. The problem is my default is to make sure everybody else is taken care of. I still don't know how to do that part for myself. And the only way I get my own time currently is when I go up to my room and when I get up in the morning, like an hour or two before anybody else. And I need that time because I can't cope with the day without that time. And I don't know how to do that if we're sharing a room. And so that's one of the conversations we're going to be having soon. Uh, so yeah, there's that. Anyway, I think that's it. And I guess I'm going to go. So peace out.